What's up? Hey guys, after 5 years, my Piranha pump bit the dust. So I'm gonna replace it on my strapper tube. I had some people ask if I could do a video about how I run my tube, so I figure since I'm gonna be testing it out anyways, I might as well make a video. So I'm gonna hook the pump up and wire it up, and I'll be back to show you how I run mine. Alright, that was pretty simple. All you gotta do is push your new pump on this 3/4 inch tubing. And that's another thing about the Piranha pumps. 1,000 gallon per hour. They use they have a 3/4 inch outlet. And it's a pretty small pump for 1,000 gallons per hour. Stick it in the tube. I install these little waterproof snap jobs here to make it easier running two pumps. Got this little pigtail that connects to the battery. And these pumps use a lot of power. 2,000 gallon per hour bilge pumps pulls a lot of power over. You catch fish early and you got them in the tube 9-10 hours, it's going to pull a lot of juice if you're running it with your bait tank. So I always run a separate battery with my striper tubes. Usually the night before the tournament, when I put my tubes in the boat, get them all strapped down. I'll show you that in a little bit. I put about 4 ounces, not a whole lot of salt. I just go ahead and dump that in them the night before the tournament. I don't add any water till I get to the lake. Alright, I'm at the lake. I'm waiting for lines in the water. I'll go ahead and fill up. I just fill up one tube. I put 2.5 buckets in to start with. And I don't turn them on. I wait till I catch fish. And like I said, another thing is these pumps, so you can turn them. I always like that pump to be straight up and down. Seems like it gets more air when it's straight up and down. You'd think sideways you would get a lot of air, but it always works best straight up and down. So when you pull your tubes out and clean them or whatever, make sure your pump's straight up and down when you put it back in the tube. Alright, you might be able to see, get this shadow, but you can see how high your water level is. That's without the pump on. And when you turn the pump on, your water level is going to drop. So, 2.5 buckets in there. So depending on how big your fish is how much more you'll have to add or take out. Hopefully you got a monster in there and you ain't gonna have to add any water because his body's gonna take up the space. So this is what it looks like. I don't know if you can see in there. And that's how I'm set, ready to fish. I don't fill up both or take the net out until I catch a fish, just because I'm superstitious. Alright, so let me turn this pump on and I'll show you how it works. You see the water level dropping. Water in the tubes coming up. You put your fish in there, turn it on, and just give it a few minutes. In here right now, the pump's starving. It means it doesn't have any more water left in the bottom. So if I had a fish in there, and this is what I seen, I'd have to add some water. So let's do that. Okay, we're up and running. You see with no fish in there, it took a little more water. It took probably about 14 gallons. If you look down here, there's very little water in the bottom of the tube. And down the tube, you see the water spraying off. You might be able to see that. So that pump is almost starving for water and grabbing air and water at the same time. That's how you get all the bubbles. once I got a fish in and the tube running, I'll close it up, and then I'll give them 10 or 15 minutes and I'll come back and check on them. He's going to release a lot of ammonia and carbon monoxide and anything else that's going to cause the water to get foamy on top of every hour or two. Spray it down with a little bit of foam off. And that's basically all I do. I don't do water changes. And between, I'd say, November and May, probably about 95% of my fish that I catch I release. They swim off strong. So put them in a boat and show you the little bracket I made to hold them, and show you how I keep my spare battery and all that good stuff. So hold on a second. Another thing I do is I take one of these off a fish stringer and crimp down about 3 feet of tube, drill the float out, put it through, put a knot on it. And what I do is I run this hook through the bottom jaw of the fish and clamp it before I put it in there. That does a couple things. One, when I'm culling fish, I'll know which one goes back without having to reweigh them. For two, when I'm pulling the fish out to cull them or for weighing, I can grab this, ease it up, get a hold of the tail, pull it all the way up to the top, and get a hold of the fish. And 90% of the time, I don't drop them in the bottom of the boat. Yeah, you put another hole in the fish's mouth, but I think it's a lot better than dropping them from 4 or 5 feet into the floor of your boat. So that's what I do. It makes it a little easier. You stay a little drier when it's 20 degrees outside and you're culling fish, which is always a good thing. So I'm gonna put these in the boat. I'm gonna drain it, put them in the boat, show you how I rig them in the boat. Be right back. All right, this is what I came up with to store my tubes. You see, I'm limited on space in the center console, but I welded up this bracket out of some, I don't know, I think it's 1/2 inch tube. Welded a couple of handles on, ran a ratchet strap through it, the cooler strap down, ran a ratchet strap through it to the cooler. That needs re-welded. Anyways, and painted. And then I just welded this simple frame. It's measured the size of the two striper tubes together and added a little bit. Get that, just slides down in there like that. And the tubes just sit down in there. Like that. This little bungee hooks on that little handle on the piece I showed you. They just fit down in that frame. They're secure. A little bungee hooks in right there. And yeah, the tubes are a little top heavy when they're full of water and running, so I'll run a ratchet strap around the tube and to the T-top there to hold the top up, especially when trailering. Keeps them nice and sturdy. They won't tip over, pull wires out, all that good stuff. The only one thing I didn't mention is when it's getting warm out, water temperature is getting in the 70s, I'll ice them down. I'll put, when I fill the tubes up, I'll add like probably 5 or 6 handfuls of ice, and then through the day, every couple hours, I'll add some ice. And I don't add any water treatment. Sometimes you have to take a little water out because ice ends up filling the tube too high, but I believe you could probably keep these stripers alive year round in these tubes with the, as long as you kept the water cool, but releasing them's the problem. So I keep them from November to May if it's kind of cool, and then they start going on ice, getting filleted and put in the freezer. Another thing I didn't mention is bait tanks. I mean, a lot of guys have 100-gallon bait tanks. They got room on their boat, and they'll either put oxygen in it or run the bait tank. It keeps them alive just as good as a striper tube, as long as the water's cool. The guys that run oxygen to them, man, them fish really come out kicking. And you could do the same thing with stripper tube. You could drill your hole, run you a 1/4 inch tube down to a diffuser and run pure oxygen in the bottom. I haven't had the need to do that, so I haven't, but you could always do that. But even like my 50-gallon bait tank, if I got 2 really good fish in that tube, I don't want to put a smaller fish in there with it, or 2 big fish. I mean, I'll put 2 8-pounders or 2 10-pounders in there, no problem. But you start getting a couple big fish in them tubes, you want to save them, give them by themselves. So I'll actually put my I'll put my 3rd fish right in the bait tank. I mean, it's sitting sideways now, but you know the idea. It'll do great in the bait tank. No problem at all. So any more questions, hit me up. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Later.